All right, so this is for Sue Kara. And the overall rendering that you've got going on here is really well done. I think overall the rendering itself is something that looks kind of really well done. But the problem you've got is you've got this conjunction between this very stylistic anime face and this realistic body, and so they're fighting each other. And so the first thing I would say right off the bat is that as this anime style goes, I would say you want to add more depth into the face. You spent all this time on this character here, and so adding in that type of thing to kind of really kind of develop more detail. And I think ultimately it boils down into just picking. Oops, brush here. That's like so, and there we go. So ultimately, it goes into just ultimately giving a little bit more definition into the nose, into the facial features, and giving that kind of realistic kind of approach in your character here. And I think that's ultimately the first thing I would say right off the bat. And then the lighting looks kind of odd because you've got kind of the bright light coming onto her face, but her face is leaning downward. So you can see that the face is coming down. So that means that light is coming down. And then you have just as strong a light coming towards the chest as well, but it's not as bright. And so I think dulling down the face a little bit more, and pushing in a little bit more of the shadows, pushing in a little bit more of that kind of that overall kind of look and feel is going to kind of push your stuff to that next level. I'm not, like, you want to have, just adding in kind of implementations of, a simple. And you can see I'm just kind of tightening up the eyebrow a little bit here. I'm adding in a little bit more kind of tighter, a little bit smaller eye, and adding in that information. And then adding in a little bit more of the shadow that you've got under the face here. And you can see just by doing that, just adding a little bit more of the shadow is going to kind of really kind of sell that piece a little bit more. Adding in a little bit more shadow under the eyes, like so. Adding a little bit of shadow under the nose, and then even going in and adjusting, the hardness so that you get a harder shadow. And you can see how hard underneath is, and just by adding in kind of that little bit of realistic shadow right there, you can see now kind of how that builds up your more realistic kind of proportions on your character. And so you can see going from here, just that simple a little bit of addition to the face really kind of helps refine it. And so the other thing is, you've got that typical anime style chin, and I'm not trying to give you this I'm not trying to take away the anime style. I'm trying to give you kind of the blend between the anime and the blend between the realism that you put in the body. And so just little things like that you can see already are starting to kind of clean up and kind of implement. Now let's go a little bit kind of harsher on the edges here. And so you can see that just simply kind of putting a little bit more of that detail into the face is really kind of what you're looking for. And then the other aspect is, you've got all this detail on the skin. Let's add some of the detail and keep your lighting consistency, because as I said, you've got harsh light coming down here, but as the face folds away, like so, you're going to get some of that harsh light kind of being removed along the way. And so just be aware of that and kind of pay attention to that. And then you might even want to match some of the harder, darker colors here with the lipstick that you've got going on here. And so just adding in You can see just adding in that little bit of a harsh reality right there really kind of defines the mouth and kind of sets the body start blending in with the rest of the face. The other thing you want to do is you want to really kind of break down a little bit more of kind of the dress. And so you can see a lot of the form here, but the problem that you've got going on is that the dress is basically you're trying to hide these large breasts, and the problem that you've got going on is there's no real kind of definition or form. And so, you know, thinking about it from you know, a standpoint of fabric, you're going to get this stretch going on, and you can see just by adding in a little bit of the lights that you've got up in the upper part of the torso, you can add in that kind of stretch and that kind of development of that dress. And so just adding a little bit of thickness there, and then going through, and I like this color here, so we're just going to add that color to kind of the fabric. And so again, you know, adding in that the amount of detail that you're looking at in the fabric, and then kind of defining that fabric a little bit more, especially along here you'd have a little bit more stretch, you know, especially around there you'd have a little bit more of that stretch, and so that's going to help you out. Now the hand looks an odd placement, and so the problem that I see right off the bat is it looks like you're trying to grab her breast, and the problem is you have the thumb underneath it, so it's not actually trying to grab the breast, it's floating in there, and so it doesn't feel like it belongs. And so what I would tell you to do is grab this, and this is where we do a little copy paste. So I'm not going to go ahead and grab the breast. I mean, that's your option if you so choose, but I'm going to grab outside this hand like so, and we're going to copy this, and I'm going to select and transform that copy, bringing the wrist down here like so. And so if we go here like this, I'm going to bring this up over the paste, and then we can go over here and underneath this, and then start let me bring this hardness down, and then like so. And then basically, I'm just going to really quickly lock this layer to get some of your other colors in there. And so you can see here, just by, you know, changing the angle of your brush, or of your hand here. Oops. There we go. Let's just go in here, and then changing the angle of the hand, like so. And just going through and cleaning that up, and then let's grab this and then fix some of that. But you can see here, that looks a little bit better than the prior version, because it feels like I said, she's grabbing the breast, but you're not interacting with it. By changing that around, that helps out as well. And so those are things that I would tell you to really work on and focus on. All right.